In the northeast corner of Kansas is the railroad town of Atchison. The city saw its heyday in the early 1900s as, according to the 1910 census, the population reached its highest level of over 16,000 inhabitants. But now in 2020, the population has fallen to around 10,800. 17% of those individuals are below the poverty line. The waning of the city can be seen in Old Atchison, where the Sallie House is located. Many businesses are closed, lots are left vacant, and streets are full of homes over a century old. Where people driving through may see a small town with little opportunity, we and many others see a tight-knit community brimming with historic value and mystery. No better an example of this old historic town is the Sallie House. Built in the mid-1800s for the Finney family, the house has stood for nearly 200 years. Dr. Charles Finney operated surgery and examinations in the main floor, while the family stayed on the second floor, and they would understandably have to move out due to lack of space. Many families would pass in and out of the home over the course of 2 centuries, and some paranormal activity had been reported by many of them. However, the most disturbing of the reports, and the one that catapulted the Sallie House along with the city of Atchison to national prominence, was of the Pikman family. The Pikmans, with husband Tony, wife Deborah, a newborn child, and family dog, moved into the small home on 508 North 2nd Street in December of 1992. The activity started small. From the moment they moved in, the dog would cower away from and bark at the room that became the nursery. In the nursery, the Pikman's newborn would wake all too often in the middle of the night. Deborah said that it seemed like someone or something was playing with him. As the Pikmans tried to live through the added nuisance, Deborah would report leaving the nursery, turning the light off just to come back to see the nursery light was back on. Furthermore, the neighbors eventually talked to Deborah, asking why she kept the light on in the nursery, since the light from the nursery shone directly into their neighbor's bedroom. Deborah Pikman, shocked by the question itself, responded that she would always turn the light off in the nursery at night. The paranormal activity being focused in the nursery frightened the Pikmans into believing that some force had its eyes set on their now infant child. To make matters worse, their young child would develop a relationship with an imaginary friend, Sally. When the parents scolded their child for a mess or broken item around the house, he would respond, "I didn't do that, Sally did," or "Sally told me to." This understandably concerned the parents further, and when they discovered, after entering the nursery, all of the stuffed animals arranged into a circle in the middle of the floor, when nobody set them that way, things got much worse. Deborah would awake one night from her sleep, and after opening her eyes she saw a little girl, no more than 5 years old, with pigtails, wearing an older dress, facing her. However, when Deborah jolted up to face this girl, she vanished. Calling back to her knowledge of her young son's imaginary friend, she asked him what she looked like. He told her that she was a young girl with a dress and braided pigtails, the same little girl that Deborah saw in the bedroom. After this, the Pikmans invited more of their extended family over to help deal with what was happening to Tony, Deborah, and their child. This would only seem to make the being angry, and after Tony was scratched and a lamp was thrown across the room, everyone would leave the house. The fact that the paranormal activity nearly tore this family apart, causing Tony to fall into a dark depression, fantasizing over thoughts of killing his wife Deborah, and produced horrifying accounts that seemed like they came from a Hollywood film studio, and not a small town in Kansas, is what drew the nation's eye to this house. After countless television shows, movies, documentaries, and investigations, including our own, this house was picked apart and dissected, with many people reaching out to Sally and experiencing paranormal activity of their own. But unfortunately for the Pikman family, and every person who ever stepped foot in that house, what they thought was causing the hauntings on 508 North 2nd Street may not be what they believed it to be. The initial genesis story of the Sally entity came from accounts that the ghost of a little girl lingered in the house after, in her short life, dying in the house when it was still a surgical practice. She was a 5-year-old girl who was suffering from appendicitis and needed an immediate surgery to remove her appendix. But in the haste to remove it, Dr. Michael Finney elected not to use any anesthetics or pain-killing remedies. And after a long struggle, the little girl died on the operating table, suffering inexplicable pain. This horrifyingly gruesome story would turn the stomachs of many, but if only it were the true account. There was never any account of the surgery nor the little girl Sally in any records. She never existed, which leads us now to believe that this was a non-human spirit, a demonic entity masquerading as a little girl. demons will often present themselves as the least threatening possible thing in order to get closer to the person and soul that they want to corrupt and take for their own. It is entirely possible here that a demon who portrayed itself as a little girl was trying to get to the Pikman's child, but where did it come from? Before the Pikmans ever came into the picture, Les Smith owned the house and rented out the property to many tenants, 2 of which being the Liggett couple. During a routine inspection of the property, Mr. Smith discovered a pentagram painted on the floor of the basement, along with 2 dark cloaks. The couple that rented the home were suspected Satanists, attempting to summon a demonic entity. It is unknown if they were ever successful in this ritual, but given the paranormal activity that occurred thereafter, it is reasonable to assume that their actions played a part in the evil that came to happen to the Pikmans and every other individual who dared enter the house after. Now the house is vacant, except for the nights where groups of people who are willing and able to make the journey to Atchison, Kansas, rent out the home to witness the horrors for themselves. There are daytime and nighttime tours available ranging from the price of $10 to $100 per person, according to some websites, depending on the time and season. You can also stay the night, as mentioned, for $125 per person during regular times and $150 during the Halloween season. In early June of 2023, we made the journey from Northeast Wisconsin to stay for our night of horrors at the Sallie House, and we have posted the video of our investigation to our channel as well. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far through the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as dropping a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments.